What is up, ladies and gentlemen? How you doing today? I am your host, Shake Money, and welcome to another edition to In the Blender with your host, Shake Money. And we are having some tickle. Give me 1 second, folks. We are having some, obviously. Welcome to another episode of In the Blender with your host, Shake Money. Today we have a special guest in the studio. He is Larry L., formerly known from Fans Panel. Excuse me, you're out of here. Anyway, we have a special guest from formerly known as Fan Panel, Mr. Larry L. But before we get to him, I have a few news and notes that I want to go through. And apparently, before I got on here, Tua Tagovailoa was traded to the Georgia Bulldogs for a first-round draft pick. So hopefully let's root for Georgia to lose, and so we can get that good draft pick. Unfortunately, you know what? I'm just joking. You know, everybody knows it. Either way, I'm a Gator fan, and I want Georgia to lose anyway. So at the end of the day, man, free agency happened this weekend, and I was elated. As a matter of fact, I was so happy that when we found out that we got Jalen Ramsey. That's footage of me celebrating the Ramsey trade. But anyway, I've highlighted a lot of things in the past years about the 85 Bear game to Joe Robbie Stadium. Today, I am going to be highlighting Dolphins social media. Back in the day, before all this YouTube boom, I used to listen to a show called The Audible with Kim Bocamper and John Conjemi, Sam Madison, believe it or not. And they would take questions from fans here and there. Kim Bocamper used to butcher my last name, but it's Kim Bocamper. He could get away with it. You know what I mean? And, of course, you have a show that I pretty much – this is what this show is based off of, In the Fish Tank with Seth and Levitt and O.J., Juice. Not O.J. Simpson, but O.J. McDuffie. And obviously, with Adam Juice, yeah, here we go. Adam, and they talked a lot about the Dolphins and their history. A lot of players talk about their memories, and I figured I want to do something like that as well. With Dolphins fans talking about their memories of the Dolphins past, why they became a fan, and the good old days, man. Because one thing about football is win or lose, it's a tradition. Whether you barbecue, whether you invite friends, it's an event that makes a lot of memories. Chef Jew got married at a Dolphin game. So, and then of course you have Drive Time with Travis Wingfield, where he interviewed players and he gives you the skivvies. He previously was on the lockdown. But one thing about the Dolphins social media lacks is fan interaction. You know what I mean? And that's where this gentleman comes in, Larry L. He is one of the founding fathers of panel shows. I remember TD did a panel here and there, but this guy, he made sure that the little guy was heard and everybody had a voice. Of course, within reason. He's not going to put up with your bull crap. But if you have good, logical, sound football takes, he's going to listen to you and he's going to let you have a platform to speak your mind. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you the one, the only, as he likes to say, the pre-Larry. Welcome to the show, my brother.
The real Larry, not the fake one. He's so fake. He has to put K in there instead of that. Hey, what's up, Shake Money?
What's going on, man?
You know, I never held it against you being a Gator fan. Never
That's
held
what's
it.
up.
Just remember, I used to send you that Twitter of the burning boat.
That's for sure, man. I remember when you first started coming on, man. That's when it was me, Vic Coaster. Which, by the way, Vic Coaster is going to be on this episode next week. I'm going to
Also, I
interview him.
love it. Yeah.
So, number who else? I'm trying to think of who's the other one. It was 80 something. 80 Dolphins 83.
Oh, Dolphin 82.
Yeah,
There was
Dolphin
two
82.
Dolphin 82, which we don't see around very much. And Dolphin
Yeah.
72.
Yeah, and I mean, it evolved. Rhino was on there. Your show has evolved, of course. Pete, you know what I mean. But you know what?
Yeah.
You know what you remind me of? You remind me of the math teacher, and what I mean by that is, I remember when I was my math teacher caught me cheating on a test, on a math test, and I'll tell you why. I was copying somebody, and he says, did you come up with this answer? I said, is it wrong? She goes, no, it's not wrong. It's the right answer. All right. But how did you come up with it? Okay. See, and that's how it is with people's football takes. When somebody spits out a general football take, you be like, okay, how did you come to that conclusion? And you know if it's a genuine take or if it's one of those media cookie cutter takes, whatever.
Right. In essence, you're right. But the reason is because that's the way we learn. Okay. We get our eyes, our thoughts shaped by outside forces. We're not born smart. So I'm just taking it with the most Dolphin fans were like me for 50 years, working my tails off. The only time I really got to watch my Dolphins were Sunday afternoon, right? I had too busy. Maybe I'll listen to a Joe Rose show when they came out, or Hank Goldberg. That's how far I go back in the drive, driving through and home in the commute. But that's all we got our news from. The good and the bad of social media. If you want to, you can now be a knowledgeable fan, and knowledge is dangerous. It's danger to everybody, and that's where I get. So when people come in with their I asked them for a take, why do you say that? And the best way for me to teach is to ask a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why you say that? What is the reasoning behind that type deal? So
Yeah, for sure. By the way, I want to give a few shout outs. Cap for Life is in the building. Greg, one of the members of Larry Shake, Greg in the panel, Larry G Shake in the panel. Sorry, I got a little tongue tied there. Todd Labruto, definitely in the building, and the first one in the building, Phil Montgomery. What is up? Oh, and Adam Sadowski. I can't forget you, man. Hope I didn't butcher your last name.
by the way, Todd and Cap, two of my Hall of Famers, Fin
Oh,
Fan
that's
Pan.
what's up. Congratulations, Cap for Life. As a matter of fact, he was on the show. He was my second guest, my third guest. I had I had Pamela, Crypto, and Cat for Life.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you, what made you a Dolphin fan?
Crazy way. As you know, because you've been with me also almost since the beginning, right?
Yeah,
With
for sure.
Panel. And I grew up in the South Bronx. Okay. And when I was I just turned teenager, we moved to Walton Avenue, which is right by Yankee Stadium. And any baseball fan, if you've been a baseball fan, Yankee Stadium, the center field iconic view. And that's that white building in the background. That's what they call the courthouse. That's the street I lived in, only a couple of blocks to the right away. But I grew up, I hated them because my father hated them. Because at that time when the Giants played football, they played at Yankee Stadium. And Walton Avenue is a wide one-way street, but they would triple park and drive my father crazy. My father became a Jet fan. And that was about the time when it was my most formative years. I was about 12, 13 years old, and the Jets and the Mets were the hot thing. So I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I was a Jet Met fan. Sorry. Okay, so what happened? How come I'm a diehard Dolphin fan? Well, 1983, right in the midst of a terrible, terrible recession. First time the U.S. had a recession. And I got sick of having great paying jobs and not being able to have any money in the bank because the cost of living was so high in New York, right? And my sister was already down in Miami. So she said, Larry, when my company basically laid me off, it was more political about that's another story.
Mm-hmm.
My sister encouraged me to come to Miami. So I come to Miami. That year, the Dolphins drafted a young guy named Dan Marino. Okay. In those days, you didn't have DirecTV. You didn't have anything. All I had on Sunday was Miami Dolphins football, unless they were playing the Jets, right? And we only have Monday. Believe it or not, guys, most of you guys, we only have Monday Night Football. So unless the Jets were playing on Monday Night Football, so I'm watching Dolphins over and over and over again. We didn't have internet. Most of you guys probably can't comprehend life without internet, right? So
Or cell phones.
or cell phones. Oh yeah, sure. So after watching Dolphins over and over again, Dan Marino, I was always, me, I'm a football fan first. Could I be another team one day? Yeah, Pat Mahomes maybe, because I just adore Pat Mahomes, just like I adored Dan Marino back then. But then I moved and I gradually became a Dolphin fan, especially as the players I used to know in the Jets started falling out because just attrition, normal attrition. And so basically that's how I became a Dolphin fan. You could thank Dan Marino, or you can curse Dan Marino if you're not one of my fans for becoming a Dolphin fan. Now, I moved to Tampa about 5 years ago. Well, Larry, why don't you become a Bucs fan? Not because I'm watching my Dolphins on DirecTV, okay, or streaming. So I could keep contact with all Dolphin fans I couldn't do back then. So yeah, I become a Bucs fan and then my number 2 team because basically,
Yeah.
but I'll never ever watch a Bucs game over. I don't care if they're greatest team ever and then Dolphins. Mm-hmm. I'm a Dolphin fan. And as long as I can keep in touch with my Dolphins, I'll stay a Dolphin fan.
Well, I always said myself, the only way I will become a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan if the team moves to another city. Then I'm not. Because I'm a Florida guy through and through.
Mm-hmm.
And stay in Florida. Like for instance, the XFL team. I don't have. I root for Orlando because they're the Florida team. Unfortunately, they suck ass. But whatever. I still am a Florida fan at heart. So let me ask you this: what made you start the Fins fan panel?
Okay. It was in the midst of COVID-19 and the worst part of COVID-19, when you remember, Shay, because then we were stuck inside. Mm-hmm. We had no physical contact with people. And, about a year before I discovered TD and DDW. And then, so I became a diehard fan of both of them. And then COVID hit home. Now, back then, TD would occasionally have the panel, as you mentioned, right? Mm-hmm. And I would come on board and stuff like that. And Phin-Addict 5. Remember Phin-Addict 5?
Yeah, of course.
I miss her. She's basically been busy last time I talked. But she said, Larry, you should do your own show. And I say, no, it's too much work. It is too much work, by the way. You're going to find out about it. Right. It's too much work. I'm retired. I want to do that. But as this COVID-19 dragged out and on, and TD, as you know, only did it on and off. He didn't do it on a regular basis. I thought, this is a great, you know what? Why don't I create a show just strictly for us to hang out, a panel show for us to hang out. Now, it was based on Miami Dolphins because of the community, but the truth of the matter, I'm being truthful here, it was because we needed people. We needed contact, right? So I would come on every afternoon, and then let me pat myself, my legendary show, which I don't have anymore, Bring Your Own Bottle Saturday. Oh
man.
Because, Saturday night, nothing to do. I'll come out at 7:30 in the morning. It was not unusual for me to go on all the way to 2, 3 in the morning type deal. Just hanging out, yapping about Dolphins, yapping about life and whatever. Then, and as COVID-19 receded, Cap, who's here, right? One thing Cap said that I've learned to agree wholeheartedly, he said, Larry, you and people like TD saved us. And in a way, I can see that because I know I would have gotten stir crazy if I didn't losing contact. You guys are the only contact I really have, other than my family. And my family. Oh, not
me. I'm there with you.
So, it became, and I learned to appreciate what Cap said. You know, it became a lifesaver for not him, but for everybody else. And a lot of my people that are loyal, still with me, are the original people, like you, Cap for Life, Todd out there, type deal. So
Yeah, for sure.
that was Fit Fat Paddle. I remember I have this shirt still there. I got to make a new one for the new show, but I got a few of these and I'm using them there. So
That's why I say formerly known as Finn's Fan Panel.
yeah, exactly. So and be myself. I'm such a modest guy. My motto is I could agree with you, but we both be wrong.
Oh man, I remember the days where you were like, "Wait a minute, I have 20 people and I only got 50 people and only got 20 likes. Smash the like button, you fools."
That morons. Things I would never. And that's what it brought me out because if you know my background, I'm a CPA, a business consultant, stiff, conservative, starchy guy. Right? When the what you see here going over in my show and here is not the kind of person I normally was. Now it's just I'm retired. You know what? I feel my fellow brother Aaron Rodgers. Right? I don't give a shit what people think about me now. Okay, anything I say cannot haunt me in my job. So fuck you, everybody else.
Hey.
Excuse me, and I don't like foul language. That's the one.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah,
but let me ask you this: being that you're in business, whatever, one thing that that separates you from the other ones is that you during the off season you be the GM, and what's funny is everybody thinks it's easy, and then you're like, well, I want this guy, and then you remind them, hey, wait a minute, we can't afford him. What about and then they're like, oh, okay, I don't want him anymore. And then they go, okay, I'll get this guys that they normally wouldn't want, just like in this year. You know what I'm saying? They it's like people got to realize you can't add all stars at every position. You know what I mean? So you got to be realistic. What made you do that?
Well, because exactly that. I don't begrudge people being fans. I want to start that out. And so, like I always say, and I mean it, if you look at my opening, and I spend millions and millions of dollars on my production, you know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing, guys. You love me or you don't, but I ain't going to make you love me by putting fancy productions, fancy all that stuff, right? So, because first of all, I'm not making this living. I'm doing this for fun and to hang out with my friends.
Yeah, of course.
And if you donate to my channel, hey, I'm not complaining. I have a little Jewish in me. I'm not complaining. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But anyway, I'm a proud day one supporter, man.
Yes, I
support you because I love independent media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, there we go. I forgot my train of thought here. So,
okay, we're talking about we're talking about why you made the be a GM. You're the GM.
Oh yeah. Because just give me. I'm not. I put it in my show. I begin all the time. I am not an analyst. I'm not an expert analyst or anything like that. But I do have an expertise. I was for 15 years a business consultant, successfully demonstrated business consultant. Football is a business like any other business. Same principle that Walmart operates, NFL teams operate. And I just want to bring a little realism to what people see. Now, I don't begrudge them. I want Derrick Henry. But you know me, my little combine, I'll tell you, wait a second, but Derrick Henry is not a scheme for you. You ever thought about that? Oh, but don't worry about that. Yeah, wouldn't those dollars be better spent if we brought Bobby Wagner and Jordan Poyer here, who could make a bigger contribution to our winning than Derrick Henry? Yeah. Not saying Derrick Henry's a bad football, but he's not.
Yeah, I agree.
But not for the price you guys are going there. And that's the way I approach it. Like I said, remember one thing I'm proud of, some more people are when we first hear a player being cut, the first thing you want to ask is, can we handle it in our cap? Just like in the movie Draft Day, right? When a player becomes available, Costner turns to his girlfriend. And the first question he asks is not how good this player, why? He asks, can we handle it in our cap? If we can't, forget about it. We're not going to even talk about this. Let's move on to the next. So things like that, the business side of football, that I do know.
That's what's up. Yeah. What was the craziest wannabe GM that you've ever encountered? You don't have to tell me the name, but just tell me like what would be like the craziest wishes that he wanted.
Oh, no. The first time, you know what? The guys that are coming up and playing it, they've been veterans now already, so I can't count. When you first come up there, you get Derrick Henry, right? And you get another big name, and all of a sudden, you don't have a 53-man roster, or you all got vet minimums, and that's the point. Or wait a minute, salary cap implications. Okay, you wanted Lamar Jackson, and then you wanted Derrick Henry, then you want to go out there and get trade for Tyreek. Wait a minute, you got no salary cap. Sorry, type deal. So,
damn. And what's funny is, like I was saying, what you were saying is, but scheme fit is, it's just like you get an expensive iPhone, a charger, right? It's the top of the line. It'll charge your phone in 5 minutes, but you got an Android. That expensive phone don't mean nothing now.
yeah, and you know what? Do the job. A moderately cost phone can do the job just as well, only for a little couple of perks. This is the same thing here, right? So one of the things I think we are doing with this You're the GM, part of it now is we're trying to predict what Greer is going to do. Okay. And what area he's going to attack and how he's going to attack it. So
what's up, color commentaries in the building? What's up, brother? Good to see you here.
Yep. So we got into this game, we're trying to figure out, and I put it out there, right? This was people know I'm conservative by nature through this whole rebuild that we've been going through, right? And I've been saying, do not spend for a veteran. Do not spend for a veteran that's not going to be there. Do not spend. But as we got our cornerstone, right? I want to thank Kyle Krabs for Locked On Dolphins for coming up with the cornerstone moniker. As we've got more and more cornerstone players like Jalen Phillips, Tua, and Jalen Waddle, and we got better and better, we are now at this point in the start of the offseason, right? Remember what I told you? Be careful spending money because you got to worry about the future. The future is today. Mm-hmm. This is when Greer needs to get off his butt and spend that money. Spend that money. And especially since I believe Steve Ross already gave his blessings for him, because we all know Stephen Ross is 85 years old. If you believe the reports, he won a championship at all costs. So I'll say it in the most gentle, polite way. Fuck 2025. Fuck 2026. Everything. Go ahead and go out there and get me Bobby Wagner. Get me Jordan Poyer. Get me, if Derrick Henry was it, get me Derrick Henry, which I don't think so. I think the Dolphins were inquired about Dalvin Cook. I think that makes a hell of a lot more sense than Derrick Henry.
Correct.
Okay. Get me whatever, the tight end, if that's what you want. Whatever needed to increase. To me, what you're doing is you're trying to get pocket aces. Mm-hmm. Okay. Right now, we got pocket queens. Yeah. And the other guys are trying to get that. They might have pocket aces. They might pocket kings and have it there. But we're in a strong position to win a Super Bowl. But you know what? I want to go all in with pocket aces. And then if we go there, I have to caution people out there. You could do everything right, but just like in life, you may not get the result you want. Just like pocket aces, you go all in with pocket aces. Anybody plays poker knows that moniker, weapons of mass destruction. Some donk goes in there with a pair of deuces, right? Wow. Or 7 deuce. That's the worst. That's the worst starting hand in poker. So you go all in one-on-one with 7 deuce. You could still lose. You have 90% odds of winning with pocket aces, but you can still lose. Now let's go to real life. You go in with the equivalent of pocket aces and build this great team. Doesn't guarantee you know what I'm talking about? What happened to us this past year, right? Number one reason we didn't achieve where we should have been was not because Tua was hurt. Well, that's part of it, and it's part of the answer. But not because McDaniel was a brand new coach. But we had fluke number of injuries across the board. I mean, if we had Byron Jones back, or we kept Nick Needham, or a couple of other players, we probably would have had 10 wins, maybe 11 wins. And we would have been in a different situation now. If we would have had Tua, only one concussion, which is bad enough, but didn't have that second one, we beat Buffalo in the playoffs. So you need luck. I agree. You need luck. Look what happened. I pointed out, look what happened to KC in that year, where they went to the Super Bowl. They were heavy favorites. And then bada bing, bada boom, they lost both their tackles, and they couldn't protect. Guess who they're playing? Tampa, right? Tampa all of a sudden was just clobbering Pat Mahomes left and right, and they picked the wrong time for both tackles to be out. It's luck involved, but you're gonna go all in. You go all in with pocket aces. You hear me, Chris Greer? Don't be afraid to be great.
We got some more people in the building. Monty Finn says hi, Larry.
Hey,
Finn's take, CB83, my boy, my main man right there. What's going on? And of course, Steve, what's going on, my brother? Thank you for stopping by. Let me ask you this: all right, now let's get back to some classic Dolphins. What would you say if you had to pick out a specific year that sticks out to you the most? What would it be, or a specific game back in the day?
Oh, that's easy. You know, be an ex-Jet fan. The Dan Marino fake spike.
And you know what's funny is I was going to highlight that game, but I was like, you know what? Let me do social media, because what I do is there's a lot of old games that's on YouTube in its entirety, and I watch them, and I like to take out things. Like I watched the '85 Bears game, and one thing I noticed, there was no play clock. And you know, another thing I noticed, which is a shame, you didn't see Bear fans in the stands. It was all Dolphin fans cheering their asses off for the Dolphins. Now today's climate, it's taken over by the other fans' teams. Have you noticed that?
Oh yeah. You know what? I always said that people want to blame Miami. No, Miami. The problem is with any sports team, Miami, we have a zillion and one things to do. Okay. If you think I'd spend my Sunday afternoon on a beautiful day watching a terrible Dolphin football team, yeah, I would. But if somebody offered me to go play in TPC at Heron Bay on Sunday, bye Dolphins. Or go fishing on a boat, deep sea fishing. Bye Dolphins. I'll miss that game. Now, of course, when you're good, there's no way. That's the problem with Miami in general, right? Not only Miami, there are a few cities like that. You know, we're not Green Bay. We have a billion and one things to do. And you're not New York City that built up a fan base based on millions and millions and millions of people. That even New York, the New York Giants, when I used to be there, the idea of getting a Giant or a Jet ticket was unthinkable. You had 10-year waiting list to be on the list there. Now, constant mediocrity. People are going to get wise to it. It cost is outrageous. Totally outrageous.
Yeah, being that you're old school Dolphin fan, have you ever been to the Orange Bowl to watch a Dolphin game?
Oh, yeah. You know what I remember most about that? The smelly, shitty urinals. They used to have the old-fashioned military urinals, just the one long one that everybody
like a trough
to take a leak. That stunk like a. I remember
going to.
the stadium. I loved to watch the game there. I mean, that was quite a stadium to watch football.
I remember watching Miami Northwestern versus my old alma mater, Carroll City High, in the semifinals. It was Santana Moss was in that game. Santana Moss, Nate Webster, Snoop Menace. It was a great game, and Northwestern won, of course. But Santana Moss won 2 state titles after that. Then he came to of course, he went to your University of Miami Canes. Which, by the way, what differences do you notice from Joe Robbie Stadium, and what would you say are the differences between Joe Robbie and the Orange Bowl, in your opinion?
You know what? For all its flaws, and it had a lot of it was a shithole, right? But it's not just by Joe Robbie Stadium. The older stadiums were designed for intimacy. So that's what it was. You know, like the Miami Arena in basketball, right? It's built literally straight up. Therefore, every seat you feel like you're right on top of the plane, not a million miles away. And it was built for intimacy. So that was the positive that they had. Now, they couldn't do that. The reason stadiums are not is nothing to do with construction. It's boxes, sky boxes, and everything like that. You can't do that with too much unless you have a more angled, built-out stadium. If you understand what I'm talking about, like this instead of more like this.
Yeah,
Right.
because the Orange Bowl was better because it had more blue collar people. Now it's they're going for the blue bloods.
Oh,
The
that too. Yeah. But you know what? That I blame the Dolphins pricing. That sport. Let me tell you one of my predictions. Not maybe 20 or 30 years from now, right? Just like in what rollerball or whatever it was, the one where Richard Dawson was the, you're gonna have all the universes watching, and what they're doing a game with nothing but a playing field, indoor playing field, and all that stuff, but it's being televised across the universe, right? I think that's what the NFL is going to be there. That at some point, it's not going to have many live seats. It's basically it is already there. Unfortunately, the NFL. You want to be what a surprising stat. The NFL has one of the poor overall attendance percentage of any sport. Yet, what's the number one sport in people's mind? Football. You know what's
football,
the
yeah.
one sport for a percentage of arenas filled?
What's that?
Okay, there's four major ones. You want to guess which one? Which one do you think is the least of the four major sports?
I'm about to say baseball,
No, baseball's still a big sport. Hockey.
hockey.
Even even I don't know now because I haven't been there in a few years, but the Florida Panthers still always continuously sold out in there because hockey fans are diehard. Once you become a hockey fan, you're a diehard, and it's built on most of them still have the older arenas where you have a terrific view.
Wow. Pete
$7.
Mallory says he remember paying $7 for an Orange Bowl ticket.
Yep. You know what? I don't have that kind of memory.
All right. Speaking of which, I'm gonna give you action for another memory. I know. Look, I know they're. You can't really compare them, but I want you to try to as best. How would you say? What would you say the difference is between the Marx Brothers and Waddle and Hill?
I want to say first of all, right? Great players are great players, and it's stupidity to rank a great player today from a great. You know what? If you're a great player, it's because you have it in you.
Mm-hmm.
And great players, one of the things, whatever they do, will have to do to become great players. So today they're faster, they're stronger, training more. So you put Duper or Mark Clayton or Duper, or you go back to Paul Warfield, right?
Yeah.
If they were born in this era, they still be great. Oh well, they're not 6'4", 6'1". No, not if you're transporting them in time. But if they were born in this era, they're gonna have the advantage of the workouts, the nutritions, and all these things. Just like one of the common things that make it easier for people. Back then, most players had second jobs, so they weren't even working out full time in the off season like we're doing right now. So that working out resulted in bigger, faster players. So I always say, if you dominated your era, you're a great player. Okay, in any era, in any era.
Well, the thing I like to say too is if you think about this, not too many cornerbacks were fast. So at the end of the day, they were kind of like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill then because too many DBs weren't as fast as they were. So they were considered at that time fast, lightning fast. You know what I mean?
Oh, you know what? But let me offset that, right? Back then, rules favored more the quarterback play than they do today.
Oh yeah, you can't. Back then, there was no such thing as touching the receiver
There
five
was no
yards.
such thing if you were a good wide receiver back then of a sissy. Okay, no. They could clutch. They could literally at times literally punch you and all that. Now today, after 5 yards, you can't touch him. Oh,
Oh.
sissy, you can't touch him.
Well, and it's funny is that was remember. Think about this: Marino hit 5,000 yards with that rule. After that rule was abolished, that's when everybody started getting. It's like you get a 5,000 yard, you get 5,000 yards, you get 5,000 yards. Like Oprah, everybody got 5,000 yard seasons.
Yeah, people. You would talk about different eras, and you know what? I guarantee you, when you take Marino back then and transport him the way he was back then, he'd be great. Because again, you pointed it out. This guy was throwing for 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns. Unheard of numbers against the league that was against the pass. All the rules were for the running game, for defense. Imagine if he had receivers that you couldn't touch after 5 yards.
Oh man, especially with Hill and Waddle.
Pat Mahomes would be fighting out for a legend. GOAT.
Did you see? So you didn't see any of the Dolphins before pre-Marino, correct?
Oh, I did. Like I said, I don't have the vivid memory because that's when I started understanding football. About 72, I was about let me see, that's four. I was about 15 years old, so I started understanding. But a 15-year-old, you're not gonna
Yeah,
really
correct.
understand what's going on there. So the 72 Dolphins, I remember them. Sure do. I don't
So
have a memory, but I do remember, and I did watch their games because
if
they were
would you
a football team. They got a lot of Sunday Monday night football coverage. Not like now.
would you say that the Jets are your most hated AFC East rival?
AFC East.
Who would you say it
No,
is?
no. Whoever is the challenge. So it was the Patriots. Now it's the Bills. Now maybe the Jets. Maybe be both the Jets and the Bills. I don't hate them. Uh-uh. Uh, like the great Ricardo Montalban says, why you do it? Because they challenge me. They challenge me. It's a challenge. They're challenging you. I don't hate them. They're making us, hey, if we can't beat them, then we're not Super Bowl winners. It's as simple as that. They're sharp. I look at it as an opportunity to sharpen our team.
I've always hated Buffalo Bills just because of the Brian Cox era. When I first started becoming a diehard Dolphin fan, I started in that era, so
Yeah,
I'm
you.
always going to have a disdain for
I don't
Buffalo.
hate them, but you know I like to rag them, right? Buffalo
Yeah,
Bills
for
are
sure.
fans, right? After all, they call us a fish, which we're not fish. Any smart person to know that we're mammals, right? And on top of that, their city name and their team is Buffalo Bills. There's no buffaloes in America, ladies and gentlemen. That's Africa and the Far East. We have bison, so
Hmm.
they can't get their own name right. Not
Damn.
very. They should
Well,
have been.
they throw each other they throw each other through tables. What do you expect?
I'm sorry.
I said they throw each other through tables. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Oh man. But anyway, let's see if I can get some of the people in the audience to help me out here. If anybody have any questions for Larry, hit me up and I'll make sure to throw it up on the jumbotron so people can see it. Iceman, what's going on? California, I'm glad to see you as always. Um, we're gonna do it like a numbers game. Okay, I'm gonna throw out 5 numbers, right? And you tell me what's the first person you think of when you hear this number. All right, who's the first jersey you think of? Okay, so can anybody get the ball rolling with the first number out in the chat?
I don't have a great memory. I'll try.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. Just tell me who
I
do
know.
you think of when you say
Like I
that.
have a hard time remembering that Marino was number 12. No, that was Johnny. Sorry.
Hey, but speaking of 12, did you know that in the AFC East, right? Every team hit their peak of their hit was the highest of the season when they had the number 12 at quarterback. The Dolphins went undefeated. Joe Namath with of course,
Jets.
Tom Brady and Jim Kelly went to the 4 Super Bowls. The height of every team in the AFC East, well, they had their best seasons with number 12 at quarterback. All right, we got our first number 21.
Oh gosh, I know there was. I think there was a safety 21. I can't remember a name for 21.
I always think of Brett Grimes.
Oh, Brent Grimes. Yeah. Okay.
Brent Grimes and I believe
All due respect, he was not one of my favorite players. Very good player, but not the one that
yeah,
I.
Eric Rowe today.
Oh, Eric Rowe, yeah, of course, right. But he's not a great player, so yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
was
understandable.
with 21. Yeah.
Okay, number 11,
My favorite, Crash Jensen.
Jensen. Okay, 31.
31. Pass. Next one.
Oh,
Like
Brian Cox.
who
Brian Cox was one.
was 31? He was
Oh
51.
no, oh yeah, 31. Sorry, 31. I'm thinking about. Oh, wasn't it Brock Marion? Brock Marion was
Oh,
31.
okay. Like he's a
Wait,
legend that I'm gonna remember. Etched in my.
okay, all
Like I
right.
said, think my memory is not that good. You know, I'm an old guy here.
That's all good. That's all good. No, I'm not saying. That's what I'm saying. You just think of but just a player that you think of. It doesn't matter. Have to be right. 84.
84. Wasn't Brian Hartline 84?
Think no, he was 82.
Oh, 82. Okay, 84. I know there was a. I don't think it was Chris Chambers.
Yeah, that's it. Chris Chambers.
Chris Chambers. Okay, I do
And
have
last,
back there.
yeah, and last but not least, number 8.
Jarvis Landry.
No, he was 14.
It's 14. Number 8. Oh God, I know it's sticking in my mind. Not Matt Moore.
Yeah, Matt Moore.
Matt Moore. Yeah, I knew I was sticking in my mind.
There we go. That's what's
Somewhere
up.
in there. It's just as you get older, it's hard to access. You're not gonna have to have an operation. Pull it out through my ears.
So as every team, every guest that I've had, I've made an alternate team. You know what I mean? You just tell me if you was to build a team out of ex-Dolphin players. You know what I mean? So what offense and defense? What offense formation would you use? What would be your base offense?
Base offense.
Mm-hmm.
Old school. I'm gonna go with full house. The full house backfield with 2 running backs and a tight end.
2 running backs and a tight end, right? And then 2 wide receivers.
21. Well, now we call it 21. The old full backfield.
Okay. All right. So who? Of course, your starting quarterback is going to be Crelio Lemons, correct?
Starting quarterback. That number 13 sucked. Let me see. That number 17. What a legend he was.
Ryan Tannehill. Okay, I'll put you down. I'll put you down.
I can't even think about that. Come on, guys. Give me a freaking break. Any Dolphin fan, there's only one answer. Number 13.
That's what's up. Okay, who's your running back?
Larry Zonka. Well, that's a fullback. Larry Zonka and Ricky Williams, a halfback.
Okay. Ricky and Zonka.
That's my backfield. What a backfield, huh?
Yeah.
Good. Right.
I could imagine. He's old school. That's one thing I love watching Zonka interviews. He's kind of reminds me of you. He has that, like you said, he don't give a damn anymore what people think.
Yeah.
You know. All right, who's your tight end? Gesicki?
Oh, that's a tough one because there haven't been really a lot of great tight ends. I mean, we had Keith Jackson. I think it's probably the best tight end overall we had, and he wasn't a Dolphin for that long. So I'm going to go with my favorite player because he played tight end too, Crash Jensen. He's going to fill in and play tight end. It's true that we haven't really had any great tight end. Randy McMichael was an excellent tight end, but he's not a great tight end. Of all the positions that probably don't have in the Hall of Fame, tight end is one of them.
Yeah. What did you think of Jim Mandich?
Good player. First time. No, nothing to. Nobody's going to. The only reason we remember Jim Mandich is because he was in the radio. I mean, okay, he was not.
I agree with you.
Not a memorable player.
Yeah. What's funny is back when I was listening. I lived in Miami. When I was watching Dolphin games, I would turn down the broadcasters and put up Jim Mandich. I'd rather listen to him call the games. Than the CBS broadcasters. All right. Who's your 2 wide receivers?
Oh, Tyreek Hill, no brainer. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, Duper brothers. I love you. But there was a fantastic, great wide receiver that never get his just due because unfortunately he was born in the wrong era. Paul Warfield, a Hall of Famer. How many Dolphin fans don't even realize Paul Warfield was a first ballot Hall of Famer? A great football player. Let me tell you, that was the last piece. He was the Bobby Wagner that I'm asking for of that era. The Dolphins were just missing that one player, and they made that big trade with Cleveland for Paul Warfield. And he brought explosion, the threat of as much as the explosion, the threat of it, which forces team not to always constantly, fill the box type deal. But and
So
what he was, just like Tyreek Hill, a former running back. So his most dangerous play is not catching, not deep balls. When he caught the ball and he had space to run, he became a running back, just like Tyreek Hill.
did he run people over?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he had good size, but he wasn't that kind of football. Wasn't that kind of. Only tight ends used to do that. Wide receivers were not asked to do that.
All
Those
right.
days.
Who's your starting O line? Let's start with the right tackle.
That's a tough one because we haven't had many great right tackles either. So
What I do too is if you because a lot of people don't know offensive line, no, not oh no, but what I do is I could give you an individually, or I could do you by error, 80s, 70s. You could do an error, so that way it's easier
yeah,
to.
the truth is that we haven't had many great right tackles in any era.
I
So
like. Well, what about Juwan James? Juwan James was pretty
yeah,
solid.
I was thinking of that too, even though he wasn't. Come on, Jawan James is not a great right tackle, and that
Yeah,
tells.
I think
So,
he was, but he just couldn't stay healthy. That was his issue.
no,
For him,
he was solid. No, even when he was healthy, he was not a great right tackle. Too many people use that term greatly too loosely, including me sometimes.
what about Norm Evans, Steve
A good tackle, not great. So the fact is, I don't remember him. He's not a Hall of Famer. We don't have a Hall of Fame right tackle that I know of. I think Dellenbach was the one in the 70s, 72. Uh, right guard's another one that's a toughie. Uh, golly. Left guard, no problem. Left guard, left tackle, no problem. I'm going to surprise some of you because these people forgot this left guard. Uh, I don't know. You got to give me a hit on the right guard. I don't think there's any great right.
What about was Incognito a right guard?
Uh, I don't remember.
What about Brandon Albert?
No,
Or
he
you
was a
have,
tackle. Remember,
yeah,
and they
that's
moved
right.
guard briefly. Uh, you know what? Pass.
How about you want to do that? Want to do the 72
Oh,
O line?
Robert Hunt. Let's put Robert Hunt in there.
Okay, Robert Hunt as right tackle or right guard?
Right guard,
Okay,
right tackle. We could go with who you said before.
Juwan James.
I've said Juwan James. Yeah, I don't disagree. Center is the toughest position. We've had some great centers. Okay, the Super Bowl era, Jim Langer was one All Pro. But in my money, you talk about anybody, including me. Okay, unfortunately, the fact that he made the Hall of Fame, despite the fact his career was cut way too short, Dwight Stevenson, the greatest center to ever play, considered by many the greatest center to ever play. And we had some good ones, Jim Langer, and I forgot another one that we had type deal. Okay, left tackle, Richmond Webb. Sorry, I know we had a couple of great ones.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Langer, what was Jim Langer?
I think he was a center.
Oh, he was a center. Yeah, another great center. Just too many great centers. Yeah, I think you're right. Langer was a center, correct. Richard, left guard is the one that's the hardest for a lot of fans. Okay, not me, because the old timers like us have it fresh in our mind, but youngers, they see Richmond Webb, they say Keith Sims. No, the greatest guard, one of the greatest guards to ever play, Larry Little. Larry Little,
Yeah, he was.
Hall of Famer, and I don't know if he was first ballot, but considered one of the great guards to ever play. Maybe the second greatest. I think the greatest guard I ever saw was John Hanna of the Patriots.
I love your team so far. All right, what formation are we doing on defense?
4-3, 3-4. 4-3 is fine because it's most of the arrows 4-3, and some of them you can interchange. So obviously, defensive end. There's two, Manny Fernandez and Jason Taylor.
Manny Fernandez.
Yeah,
I thought he played defensive tackle too.
yeah, he played. He does. That's a good one. He swung both ways, and I don't know the year he won MVP.
Mm-hmm.
People forget that Jason Taylor was not the first defensive lineman we ever had to win the Defensive Player of the Year. That was Manny Fernandez when he had the record for sacks. Supposedly, that was not official. I think he did that as a D end, But he was also a D tackle. You're exactly right. I think that's how we started out as a D tackle. You know,
Yeah.
I put tackle. I think it's easier that way, so I could put Cameron Wake in there.
Okay, Cameron Wake. Okay.
Uh,
He
D,
he was the one. He was the one that put the gator in Shula's shower.
yeah, character. They're all characters back then. Tackles. That's easy for me. Tim Bowens and Manny
Man,
Fernandez.
okay.
Yeah, Now, if it wasn't Manny Fernandez, I know some Dolphin fans. I'm sorry. We underrate this guy because we were upset with the big signing, but Rodopkin Soup was an outstanding tackle for us, better than what most people think because
Mhm.
it wasn't his fault we overpaid him.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I tell people, just because you paid $50 for a steak doesn't make the steak going to taste better.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Now comes I want to go with the easy one because it's not easy because there's so many candidates. Middle linebacker.
uh-huh.
To me, that we had other great like Arfadal. Remember Arfadal and a couple of others, but the two that clearly heads above is Bonacati and Zach Thomas. So that is a tough one to choose because Bonacati was the heart and soul of the defense of
Hmm.
two Super Bowl championships, including the perfect season. That kind of resume is hard to beat. I'm sorry, you Zach Thomas leg lovers, and I
Yeah.
love Thomas too, but I got to go with Bonacati. Okay, he was the heart and soul of our defense. The two
Yeah.
outside linebackers, oh, that's a toughie for me. Again, we didn't have really, really great outside linebackers. Oh, God. I can't think of any. Can't think of it. Great outside linebackers. Wow. I really can't think of any great outside linebackers.
Joey Porter, no.
Porter.
um,
Problem, right?
yeah. Who's the other one that we had? Damn it. Would you? How about Jalen Phillips? Is he? He's no. He's more of a defensive end. Would you think?
Yeah, I consider him a defensive end type deal. So for sure. It's just not many guys. Help us out, guys. Linebackers. Mike Colin. Mike, I know who you're trying to think of. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that was his name, but I think I know what he's trying to say. I'm trying to remember the name. And the fact that I don't remember it tells you he's not a great. In my mind, I'm thinking great. I'm not thinking above average or anything like that. This Dolphin team has a rich history. I can't think of any great outside linebackers. You know, I'm sorry, guys. I can't.
That's all good.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
and John offered. John offered. Let me see.
the linebacker, yeah. We have
Marlon
great.
Greenwood. John offered.
Consider him. I don't think he was a Pro Bowler.
Um, I'm trying to think. I have some. I'm looking at the other lists. Kowamisi.
Yeah. Okay.
um, of
Give
course.
up. Give up. You know what? Just put Cole BC Carl Ellerby in there.
Who?
Carl Ellerby. We didn't forget him, right?
I'll tell you what. Because I'm gonna start putting up the names. I'll let whenever. Just hit me up later on whenever you want to, and I will. What I would do is when you at a later date, will what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be etched in stone. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Somebody's joining us. Cornerbacks. That it's easy to say Patrick to say Sam Madison, but you gotta put Paul Langford in there. Try to sneak him into that list there. There was another one we have, but I have no problem saying the duo of Madison and Sertan,
Sam Madison.
Patrick Sertan. Safeties, controversial one, right? To me, it's a no-brainer, but because I saw these guys were two all pros in the back line. There was a reason why we were perfect, and it was our defense. And we had two of the best safeties to ever play the game, and Jake Scott and Dick Anderson.
Wasn't one of them wore 13?
I'm sorry? Yeah, Jake Scott won 13, correct. And Dick Anderson, I think Dick Anderson was 41. I'm not sure. That's a long time ago. And don't forget, place kicker, Garo your pyramid. Garo your pyramid. No.
What about Laces Out?
Who?
What was that? I'm thinking about who's the Ace Ventura? What's his name? Laces Out.
Ace Ventura. I don't remember.
Hey man, what's his name? Who's the kicker from? Damn it, Oh, he was number 40, by the way. Dick Anderson.
Yeah, 40. 41, 40. Yeah, I knew he was around there, right?
So,
Place kicker, we had a few. We'll just go with Gary Perry, and we had a few. We had what's his name? The one we drafted that we had for a lot of years. Our punter should be. I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame, but should be in the Hall of Fame. Great punter to this day, Mr. Watch himself, Reggie Roby.
Reggie Roby, that's what's up. Yeah.
He'll happen today.
So anyway, before we leave, man, I'd like to once again appreciate you for joining me. It was an honor and a privilege to have you on, man.
Oh, it's an honor, my honor. Talking real Dolphin football is always a pleasure.
All right, man. Any final thoughts and where can we find you?
Okay. Once again, my show is. Oh no, it's not. It's Larry L. Simple. Larry L. Miami Dolphins Talk. I'm only in YouTube, but you can watch the show on Twitter too because I posted to Twitter. But only there. Like I said, I'm doing this for fun. And it's not a career, so I don't do no podcasts or anything like that. Always live. That's one thing that separates me from a Dudley do-wrong and whatever. I'm always live, so you guys can always. So I can make those glorious mistakes and not correct them. Okay. And you want to talk up, guys. I know Shake Buddy doesn't want to hear it, but the funniest thing that ever happened in my show was when he inadvertently showed off his junk.
Oh yes. I try not to remember that. Hey, it was boxers, okay?
That sounded better. Talking about showing off his junk.
I know Rhino was like, I can't unsee that.
So you catch Larry L. Miami Dolphins Talk. Everybody's welcome as long as we want to talk. Have a good conversation about football. It don't even have to be good as long as we're not nasty about it and you're not trolling. Okay.
Yeah, no trolling.
Yeah. See,
appreciate
it. I went to FinFan panel because when I created this was for you guys. And whatever topic you chose to take it, we went that way, which I didn't mind when I just wanted to talk to people. But as the COVID-19 eased up and all that and trolling became incessant in this community, I said, no, I want intelligent conversation. I don't want to go to, you know what, you invite me to a party full of trolls, I will politely decline. I won't go. The way I look at it, I'll politely decline. I don't mind watching it occasionally. I really don't, but I don't want to live it. It's a pain in the ass for me to control it and get an intelligent conversation in there type deal. So Ariel, Miami Dolphins Talk, home of intelligent conversation and healthy debate.
Hey, by the way, when are you going to start doing Sunday? When are you going to start doing Sunday episodes? Because, I don't miss a Sunday episode. Because a lot of times when you're on, I'm at work, and I really can't catch it. So when are you going to be doing the Sunday episode?
Sunday episode. Now, if you want to do Sunday episode, I was thinking that too, because guess what? It's the most boring for me without football. Sunday, right? In the week, the reason I find myself doing something, whether it's going to the gym or taking care of chores, but when Sunday and there's no football, I'm home just staring around going, that's a good idea. It's going on Sunday type deal. I thought about that because when DDW and then Reason came on a Sunday, people were just craving for it, and I noticed that. So maybe I'll change it for Friday. Yeah, let me say, right, this is off season. The only show I guarantee to be on is Friday at 5:00. Okay, I might start earlier, but I'll be on. But I've been on this week because there's a lot of news going on with the free agency and whatever. Usually I try to stay in the afternoon. That's my that's my most boring time. One thing about Florida, when you live here, you get used to doing everything in the morning because of the heat, and that carries over.
Exactly.
So I'm usually taking care of all my business, whether it's bike riding, going to the gym, going to the doctors, going to whatever. I usually take care of it in the morning, and I got it in the afternoon. It's like, wow, I got to see a replay of NFL football type deal. So that's why I want to stay. And plus, you guys got plenty of entertainment in the evening. There's plenty of shows in the evening. And Steven and It's Finn's in the morning. So you know what? That's a great idea. Maybe the following Sunday I'll quit. So what's a good time for? I was thinking about 3 o'clock, so you can get
Yeah, that's fine.
people had to do.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember Vic. I'm sure Vic. You'll see Vic too because I remember he was saying that he prefers Sundays too. You know what I mean? Because that's when he's off as well.
yeah. Three
And,
people.
and
You know what's interesting? People ask me why I don't do live game reaction shows, and I'm saying because you see this cop collect guy, you moron, you schmucks out there. When football has always been my release, my Dolphins have always been my release. That's when I can turn into a savage monster like
mm-hmm.
today. You know those,
Yeah,
and then calm down and then realize, okay, this is what really happened. So
yeah,
plus
for sure.
because I stream my services, that's always the delay.
That's what's up. All right, guys. All right, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you for coming on, man, and hopefully I'll be able to see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Correct?
5 o'clock.
I'll
Yep.
be here, and I'll be in here in my little studio, having a nice little conversation with you guys.
Right.
All right,
So
Larry, man. Go
thank
ahead.
you. And Chick Buddy, thank you. I enjoyed it. Invite me anytime. And peace. I'm
Peace
out of
out.
here.
That was Larry L from the Miami Dolphins talk. It was a pleasure to have him, man. And like I said, next week we're gonna have Vic Coaster. He is another old school Miami Dolphin fans. We're gonna go back into memory lane with him. Y'all have a good night. I am out.